Welcome all to another exciting EYM Access No Excuse webinar. Today we're going to have a blast with some of the most fantastic guests. We not only have lawyers, producers, actors, activists, but we also have our founder, Angelique Echols, here today. So guys, get ready for something so exciting. Get ready with your questions. We also have the laptop giveaway, so get ready for that. So everybody strap in. And let's go. I first want to introduce our founder, Angelique Echols Brown. Miss Echols, how are you feeling today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is such a pleasure, Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. When this webinar series was just a passing thought in my mind more than 10 years ago, I imagined young people reaching out to other young people with scholars and celebrities supporting. But what I did not imagine was EYM students actually becoming the scholars and celebrities as well. I was more focused on them being safe, on them receiving the resources they needed, graduating high school and going to colleges. So it is with excitement and pleasure that I introduce Rob Smith, Etienne Maurice, and Themba Nelson. They're film producers, activists, attorney, writers, and my heart, they're EYM alumni. Fabulous men, fabulous Black men. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. And I am so excited. Welcome.
Hey guys, so we're going to jump right in. I'm going to start with Rob. Firstly, tell the young people here where you're from, what college, university you went to, and where your EYM story started.
Oh, can y'all hear me?
You sound good. You're golden.
Well, I'm from LA. I grew up in Mid-City, South Central. I met Miss Echols, I think my 5th grade year. It was 2 teachers that tried to hold me back. And it was my dad who was like, man, nah, we're not holding him back.
Yeah.
And so my grandmother, rest in peace, she was at some type of event that Miss Echols was hosting or whatever. And Ms. Echols was speaking, and she was like, she told my dad, she's like, you got to go speak to that woman. And then from there, it was kind of all she wrote. And Ms. Echols accepted into the program. And it was kind of crazy because I used to be scared. So my dad was, very, very, strict man. But I remember I used to get in trouble in school, and my dad used to threaten me with Ms. Echols. And I was like, nah, Pop, I'd rather get the whooping, bro. He's like, nah, man. Nah, I'm gonna tell Ms. Echols. And Ms. Echols used to put me in the tank. But yeah, she changed my whole, EYM changed my whole mind frame about how if I just did well in school, things would change in my life. And it did.
Awesome.
So Rob, what are you currently doing? So let them know what you currently do as an occupation.
Right now, I am a development executive for this film director named Craig Brewer. He did Hustle and Flow, Black Snake Moan, Empire, and Dolomite Is My Name. And now we're on the editing floor for Coming to America 2. And so I have the blessing, to work for him and to be right under his shadow, be a John Singleton.
Hey, okay. Etienne, same question. Tell us your story, your background, where you went to college, and how you started with EYM.
Oh well, you remember when I started with EYM? Mr. Ibrahim was my tutor and what gave me the hardest time next to Ms. Echols. But my name is Etienne Maurice. I'm a filmmaker, activist, actor from Los Angeles, California, in the Mid-Wilshire, Mid-City area. My journey with EYM starts in the 7th grade. I was not doing my homework. I was not participating in class, and my mother was my mom had just been divorced, and I was going through the traumatic experience of my parents being separated, and I just wasn't focused and I wasn't paying attention. And then by the grace of God, my mom found EYM, and that's when my life got turned upside down. I met Miss Eccles, and Miss Eccles was talking to me like she was my own mother. I was like, Mom, like that's your job, not hers. But I remember Miss Eccles really, beat the discipline in me, not physically, but mentally and
don't say beat, not beat, not beat.
Lack of better term, like Miss Eccles, I'll say this to anyone, like you have been, a guiding light in my educational journey when it comes to, just doing the work. And that's in all the areas of my life,
Thank you.
I went from not doing homework to showing up to EYM every day after school. And, I really just started to see my life improve in all different aspects of it. So yeah, from 7th grade, I matriculated and graduated from Pilgrim School and ended up going to Drexel University in Philadelphia with a major in film and a minor in theater.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Themba, let's swing it back around to you. Talk to the people.
Gotta unmute him.
Hold on one second, Tam. I'm gonna run that back. Seems like
muted.
your mic is muted. Let's get you unmuted.
That's what happens when you have the older alumni on here. They don't know they don't know how to handle the technology.
Technologically challenged. Take me out of the Stone Age. Are we good?
We're good to go. We golden.
All right. So Themba Nelson. I started with EYM probably around the 2000s. I was coming out of John Burroughs Middle School. I mean, my story is definitely similar to, a lot of other brothers that are on here and probably other, youth that matriculated through EYM. Had a tough time in school, way too social, hanging out, not doing my work, and you're met with the discipline of EYM. And so that starts with Miss Eccles, and that goes down to, the teachers. But same story, you get into the structure of EYM and your life turns around. You enjoy school, you enjoy your work, because it's a one-on-one family type of approach. But I ended up going to Laces High School and finished there in 2004. And then I went to Hampton University in Virginia. A lot of my friends were going to Black colleges, and there was a lot going on in Los Angeles at the time, and I felt that would be a good thing for me to do. So I ended up going to Hampton, finished in 2008. I came home for a year, worked with EYM. Always good to give back. Always good to continue just to build and grow the community that you're with. Okay. Then I went on to law school at Thomas Cooley Law School in Michigan. I was a public relations major in undergrad, and I kind of realized, representing people and giving a voice to other individuals was just something I had a passion for. And so that's why I went on to law school, just to do it on a different level. So I finished law school in 2012, came back to Los Angeles, and met with the truth that the California bar is extremely difficult. So I definitely have lived that truth, walked that walk, taken, some people take it and pass it on the first time, great. Some people pass it on the second time, great. Some people you have to be, torn down and built back up, and really reach deep within yourself, because nobody's there to pull you along. It's you for 3 days in that room. So went on to law school, came back, I'm back in Los Angeles, finally passed the bar, was sworn in, had to do a socially distance, so I couldn't have everybody there. But finally sworn in as an attorney, got a bar number. I serve currently as a judicial assistant. That was my way of just being around the court system and understanding what it means to be an attorney. And then from there, now I'm just looking to jump into practice.
All right, so now that you know what these young men are running so many different segments of our society, but we're gonna ask questions on how they got here. So, let's say Rob, like as a teenager, what was your greatest struggle that you had to push through, and is that struggle still carrying over into your workplace now?
I would say for me, my greatest struggle was, just staying focused, because I remember my father told me in high school, he was like, man, all these people you're trying to impress, you wearing the nice Jordans and the fancy clothes. He goes, you probably will never see any of these people after high school again. And I didn't believe it. But then like 3 or 4 years after high school, I was like, man, I don't even keep in touch with these people. And for me, it was just that was a big struggle for me. It was like trying to be cool because, I wasn't always, I was a cool kid, but I wasn't a popular kid. But everybody in high school, it's all about popularity. It's like, yo, who is this dude? And, how many girls did he have? The whole nine. And so for me, I struggle with that a lot. So yeah, like I said, I think my greatest, I guess my greatest dilemma was, how can I be popular but still also maintain the grades? But at the same time, too, being popular does not necessarily mean maintain the grades, if that makes sense.
So you basically had to make a choice.
Yeah, well, I didn't want my dad calling Miss Eccles, so I was like, you know what, grades.
Same with me, to be honest. I remember, in high school, I was really starting to like, develop my quote unquote swag. And I started to realize, I was like, oh, girls like me. Oh, I can be fly. But I was focused way more on that than my schoolwork. I was always on my phone. That was a big thing, back then we had sidekicks. I remember Miss Eccles took away my sidekick because I was always on it way too much. And to be honest, it definitely has trickled down to me currently because now social media plays such a huge part into what I do now as a filmmaker, as an artist, even as an activist. I find myself always on my phone. But I've utilized that for now work purposes. Now it's not about the best selfie or the best photo I have, but like how do I continue to keep people engaged? So it's like almost like a double-edged sword, to be honest. Like back then I was using it for play. Now I'm using it for like work. But yeah, my issue back in high school was definitely like focus and maintaining that focus and that discipline. But now I've been able to channel that focus and discipline into something bigger than myself, and that's another thing I've realized is when you find your passion and when you find that big ball of energy inside you that makes you want to do something, you're going to do it and it's not going to stop you. I feel like I had to find that energy and find that interest for me early on in high school in order for me to get to where I am today.
And I can honestly say I remember all three of you, and there were points in your life when it was difficult, but you would say, I'm not giving up. Themba, you would say to me, well, no, Miss Eccles, I'm okay. I've just got to study and take it again. Mm-hmm. I remember Rob in terms of when you were in college studying, remember? And going into production and then the dating. And I say, well, let's not date right now. Let's really stay focused, but all of you were there, you listened. But I do want to add one other thing, something that is also common given the three of you. You all had parents. You all had parents and a parent who said to me in one way or another, I am not losing my son to the streets. I am not losing my son. I am not losing my child. Whatever I've got to do to save this young Black man, I'm going to do it. Miss Eccles, will you help me? I don't want to lose my child. And I want to make that very clear because all three of you had a parent who said that to me. And I want you to know that since your very begin your existence, you have had a village put around you to help protect you. And it started with your parents. And I want to say that.
It definitely does start with our parents. I think it's very also interesting in regards to EYM and the foundation that you built at EYM is, I think Themba was saying earlier, like you built like a family structure even within the educational system that is EYM. Like I felt like even though we were all there for the singular purpose of graduating, there were also other students that wanted to support me and see me succeed as well, which is also like very, very helpful, being so young and seeing kids that look like me and people that are in the same position as me that are also supportive. Because I remember when I would get in trouble and I'd be in your office, you know, with whenever I had an issue, you always brought a student that had somebody that had the same situation happen, that was able to speak upon their experience. Like I remember when my mom, we were having some issue, and I kept saying like, I just want my mom to get off my back. I want mom to leave me alone. And then I remember Lindsay, I think it was one of the
Lindsay
that came in. She came in, she was like, man, that's never gonna stop. Your mom was always gonna be on your head.
Tell me something. But guys, tell me this. How can we transfer the methodology that you know works as young men and as young Black men? How can we, move that and transfer that on a national scale so that we can really help so many other kids, and this, given what's happening in school districts, how parents have been removed from the system, the shutdown of the PTA. How can we do this, guys? How can we scale this, given what you know? Mr. Nelson, how can we scale this?
I definitely think it starts with programs like this, as far as just being able to, talk to youth, people that aren't too far removed from their position, people that they can, reach out to. So if that's myself talking to individuals in college, talking to students in high school, just creating that pipeline of a network. I think it's all too often that once we continue to move up, we become too focused on what we're doing to continue that pipeline, that information pipeline. Okay. And so I think it's just creating that, like Obama created, some years ago with helping, young Black men, My Brother's Keeper program, programs like that just continue to influence and continue to project the narrative that, Black men have a place, professionally as they get older. They don't have to be stigmatized by a system, and that they can do, pretty much whatever they want to do. So I think it's just to continue to pass that information and not be scared and not be too cool to pass that information. The too cool often hinders us from, when we see a young brother doing something on the street, to just say like, hey, you shouldn't do something like that. And he may retaliate, but he may not, but as long as you can, reach out and talk to, a young man, the next time he's in that situation, he might think, hey, there's that guy that told me, think about what I'm doing before I do it.
Would you guys tell these young people to not be afraid to find supplemental programs in your communities that they can be a part of, to reach out? Would that be a message you guys would give today's teenagers?
I mean, and to piggyback off what Themba said, I think also too, it's the way to reach young people, which I've noticed, because I mean, due to being an EYM, when I was an undergrad at Dominguez, I was mentoring kids. I was working in Boys and Girls Club of Carson, and so forth. And the way that I noticed that kids are receptive to are what they like. So, for example, everybody, they love, they glorify hip hop, the whole nine. But then if you actually sit there and talk to them about what actually is going on and what actually they're saying, for example, Nipsey Hussle's a perfect example. Everybody, the young kids glorify Nipsey Hussle, but then they don't know exactly what he was doing for the community. And so I think that when you sit down and talk to him and say, okay, you know what, you guys might glorify his rap lyrics or like that, but did you realize that, he stayed in the community? He bought up real estate. the whole nine, and showing that you can come from nothing and still make a difference. I think that's very, very important. I think that's what young people gravitate to. So like, for example, is if you have a young kid, if you show him a Lamborghini, he's gonna be like, oh yeah, that's hot. But then you show him how to get that Lamborghini, that's what's gonna spark something. Yo, bro, I got that Lamborghini because I worked hard, because I studied hard, because I went to school. And I think that's kind of thing with kids is that, and also too, Ms. Eccles, one thing you did too was you used to always use positive reinforcement. You would tell me 3 things I'm doing right and then 2 things I'm doing wrong. So that way it kept the momentum going. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I think that with young kids is that show them what they want and then show them how to get there. So if you want that Lamborghini, yo, bro, study hard, work hard, get them grades. You know what I'm saying? Do what Themba did, be resilient, don't give up. And then that way you can get those things. But all they see is what they see. It's what they see on social media. Oh, well, this person has this person has that. But you got to show them how that person get there.
Okay, then I've got I have a question. And it's very similar to one of the questions I know it's on Mr. Ibrahim's list. So when you're talking to young people, and let's say when parents are talking to their young men, young Black men, given Black Lives Matter, given everything that is going on, given COVID-19, specifically regarding young Black men, do you first talk to that young male teenager as a man and then address him being a Black man? Or is he a Black man first? Is he Black first and then a young male? Or are they synonymous? That is a question parents ask me. I have been asked, and an answer is very difficult for me because I'm not male.
Obviously, it's synonymous.
What is the approach?
I mean, obviously, being a Black man and a man first is synonymous, but I've been raised knowing that I am who I am because of the color of my skin. I understand that, we all have blood running through our veins, but if a Black cop takes off his badge, at the end of the day, he's going to be a Black man. He's not going to be seen as a cop. I feel like as a Black man, all I have is me and my talent to show for it. I was raised knowing that wherever I went, my people, my skin color, my Black people followed me into that room, because sometimes I'd be in spaces where I might be the first interaction a white person has had with a Black person that day. And whether you like it or not, we're all prejudiced, at the end of the day. So I was always taught that I've had to work twice as hard just to be given half of a chance, and I'm learning that there are a lot of white people out there who are completely oblivious to that notion, to that theory that we as young Black men have been raised on. So at the end of the day, there are specific lessons in which we have to teach our young Black men in order to really thrive and survive in this world that we're living in right now. Because when you look at the media, when you look at the news coverage of how we're personally not being taken care of, that takes a huge dampen on one's young life, because then you start to feel like, damn, am I worthy? Do people care about me? Do people want to see me succeed? And like, how do I find that sense of pride? And then that's when, people like us have to come together and figure out ways to uplift these young Black men and women, and come together and unify and find programs in which we can continue to make sure that this doesn't become a moment, and that we create a movement of young individuals to find that sense of pride and find that power, because there's power in each and every one of us. And we have to remember that our crowns have been paid for. We just have to remember to wear them.
Mr.
Ms. Eccles.
Nelson, in your field, how would you answer that question when I'm certain that many times you are probably the only young man, Black man of color, may possibly in a room or in that courthouse, working in the field, in your field? How would you address that question, sir?
Definitely. So, like I said, I think it's as a Black man approaching another Black man, there is a level of comfort that you can bring to that relationship because, like you said, we, like Etienne said, like we both, kind of come from that same cloth. We both know that we're going to have shared experiences. If a police officer pulls up, behind you in a car, you might look in the mirror, you might have hair might raise up on the back of your neck. We have that shared experience, of life as a Black man in America. So I think definitely when I approach the situation, I do approach it first, that you are a Black man and not just you're a man in general, because we do have a different burden to carry, just as, America has been established. And I also, to echo Etienne, when I, go into a room, I do have to represent, my skin color and my race, and, people that are African American, because that's what people see first. People see your face, people see your skin tone. And so that's what people react to first. And so, what Rob said just about like, being out, like we have to care, like it's not just that Lamborghini is there, but you've got to understand and care how that person got to that position. And so, I think that we have, as we get older, as Black men get older, we have a responsibility to share with young Black men, that sense of care about yourself, care about who you are, where you come from, and what you look like in a room, because people are looking at you. And so, I mean, I'm very, hyper cognizant of that. Like, are my pants too low? Is my hat turned a certain type of way? Is my shirt looking a certain type of way? What is the right? I'm hypersensitive about it. Some people may not be, but I understand that when I come into a particular room, people are judging me and judging my community. And so I impress upon others, like it's fine to do what you want to do, but also understand that, people are judging you, and it's an improper judgment, but it's a judgment that happens.
Thank you so much for that, Themba.
But what would you say? I mean, what exactly is that about? I'm another generation, but talk to me. Somebody tell me what can we say to these young people? I think Mr. Smith, and then Mr. Nelson. Mr. Smith, you were saying earlier about what you noticed in the community and with these young kids and what they need to do.
I mean, I was just saying that they glorify the wrong things. They glorify, like for example, everybody glorifies Kobe Bryant for the 5 championships, but people forget that he airballed 3 times in 97 playoffs. And what did it take to get there was that after he airballed those 3 times and the Lakers lost, Kobe sat in the gym for the next, for the next summertime. You know what I mean? Like he sat there in the gym and he talked about it. He was like, hey, you know what? I felt so bad about it. I wanted to get better. And I think that going back with these young folks is that they, like I said, they glorify image, but then they don't glorify the process of getting there. And that's the thing, is that it's working hard. It's like, look at someone like, like my man Themba right there. Is that like everybody's, they're, oh yeah, you're a Black lawyer and you're successful, you're young, the whole 9, but like they don't glorify the journey. And that's the one thing that I think young folks are missing, is that they have to appreciate failure and appreciate getting to that next level. And people don't like failure. Let's keep it all real. But at the same time, too, is that I heard a quote one time where it said that pain is I forgot the term. They were saying that I think it was like pain was something leaving the body. It was pretty much, long story short, I'm paraphrasing here, but what it was saying was that in order to reach success, you have to endure pain. And I think that with a lot of young people like myself, when I was young back in the days, I glorified the image of, oh, look at Jay-Z, look at Tupac, look at all these other people. But at the same time too, but then once someone explained to me their what they went through to actually get there, I'm like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. And that's the thing with the whole social media aspect of it all, is that young people have to really keep in mind that there's a grind. You have, in order to be successful, you have to grind, and you have to be okay with failing.
Okay.
Also, to piggyback off of that, it's like you can't lose faith. Like faith is a huge aspect of success. Like Martin Luther King said, faith is like taking that first step when you can't see the rest of the staircase. It's like it's having that sense of hope and belief that you are going to reach your goal. Like you cannot forget that. You have to be spiritually in line with your purpose. That is something that you cannot forget about, because it is the spirits of your ancestors, it is the spirits of our forefathers, it is the spirits of your family members that have now transitioned, that prayed for you to make it, to reach it, to your goal. And I always remind people, like, you cannot forget that, because you have a purpose and you have to believe in that purpose in order to get there.
Ms. Eccles, I found the quote real quick. Sorry for cutting you off, Themba.
Yeah.
Pain is weakness leaving the body.
Mm-hmm.
That's the quote.
That's a good one. As I was like coming in today, I was like trying to wait in line at Starbucks, and the line was super long. And I was like, you know what? I can just make some tea at home, and I can just whip up some eggs at home. And I was like, am I going to turn into one of those parents that's like, you got food at home? So in that moment, I realized I was like becoming the older person. And then when talking about like hip hop and things like that, I was like, man, like, am I going to be the older person talking to a younger generation? But one thing that I just like remember, in that what my parents and older people always say is like, keep living. And like when you keep living, like you'll keep having different experiences, and like your mind will just be shaped, and you'll realize like, oh, what my folks were telling me back then, it really does make sense. It really does make sense why I should go to sleep at a particular time. But so I'm just prefacing that with saying, like, I don't want to sound like the older person in the room, as I'm talking to youth. But one thing that Jay-Z does say, back in 2001, he says, are you just listening to music? Or are you skimming through it? And I think like that line is so powerful, because a lot of time, youth are just like vibing with the beat, and they're not actually listening to, what these artists are putting into their music. Artists are putting in a lot of pain, a lot of struggle, what they had to endure and deal with, in their neighborhoods. And while it may seem cool, to be on the block, from sun up to sundown, understand that this person is talking about being on their block literally from sun up to sundown. Like that's not an easy thing to do, to be able to, you're being at work from KC in the morning to KC at night.
And you're working on commission.
And you're working on commission. And so it's like, and so when you have that, we're Rob talking about putting in that hard work, I think also hip hop also is in an ebb and flow. There's a certain time period in which you might just talk about, improving your community, and, improving yourself, as a person. And then you do have those days where you're just talking about going to the club, pop bottles, and living lavish. And I think right now we're definitely in a mode of individuals talking about building up their community. I mean, you have Rick Ross and everybody talking about buying back. Jay-Z on 444 is a pivotal album, especially for an adult. Don't shoot up the hood, that your mama is renting. Like, that's like, if you take these lyrics and internalize it, it should not make you want to go out and chill. It should make you want to go out and work harder so that you can build up your, what you need, so that you can live that way. Because there's nothing wrong, with driving the Benz, pushing it, top down with your fitted. Like, definitely did that the other weekend with the Mustang. But it also
You got a Mustang? What's up?
Oh man, we went to it was lovely. I rented the Mustang. I had the bandana on, the black tie, had the bags in the back, music blasting, whipping, at speed limit, of course. But that was just fruits of my labor. That was just a way to blow off some steam of having gone to work, at my traditional 8 to 6, there's 9 to 5s, is 8 to 6, but then also going home and working on other side projects. And you might go to sleep at 1 o'clock in the morning, because that might pay off down the line. So there's, there will be fruits to your labor, but there has to be labor.
Awesome.
That's a great point to leave off on, because
Yeah.
we're gonna have to wrap it up. And I want to apologize to whoever logged in today and lost the last bit of this, but you'll be able to see it now. And we will come back next week and do the laptop giveaway. So you definitely have to be present, because if we call your name and you're not there, we have to shift down one more. I want to thank all the panelists today. For those who have had the luxury of being instructors in the past, it's been incredibly powerful for me as an adult, because quite a few of you are my age that I was when I started teaching you. And it gave value to my life, because some of us are real doers. We didn't have children. And you think all those small impetus that you give become permanent. When you see it, you just feel incredibly wealthy. So the wealth of the experience of aiding another young Black male in his development is priceless. And I see you guys are all doing it in your respective fields.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
And we realize that it is exponential. The growth of the health and improvement of our communities, of our minds is amazing. So continue to do great work, gentlemen. And we will see you all next week.
Mr. Ibrahim, Mr. Ibrahim, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know what an ascot was, man. You was always coming in the EYM fly, dog.
Hey, Mr. Ibrahim, I didn't have the pleasure, you never taught me, but you a good brother, man.
I appreciate it. I mean,
Banana Republic.
It was just Banana Republic. It was just it really was for the other kids, because when I first started teaching, there was a big gap in Black men from 18 to 30. And I realized I was one of the only examples my kids would have. So just your walking is an act of protest, an act of revolution and inspiration.
Walk with Etienne.
Just being
something, but you guys, something, I want to say something to all of you, including you, Mr. Ibrahim.
Yes, ma'am.
I am sitting here as we close out. It's 12:53. And as we close out, I want to say to all 4 of you, I don't know. And there are so many other yous, that. You guys, we've got Khaled, we've got Todd. There are so many. And for the 3 of you to start this piece in terms of as EYM alumni and you're giving back in the community. Mr. Ibrahim, I want you to know you are included, because I take great pride in having hired you many years ago. So I too look at you as one of my babies as well. I'm sorry. You're a little older, but doesn't matter. You're one of mine. So I want to tell the 4 of you, as articulate, handsome, incredible young men, young Black men, I am so proud of you. And I want America to know, I want everyone to know that you exist, that you are real, that we have so many of you, that you are not acknowledged, are not given that credit, are not lifted, because we're so busy lifting the negative, and they are lifting the negative. But our mission is just the opposite. And that is to tell the others, if you can do it, so can who? So can they. because your upbringing and your life and your challenges are no different than theirs. And we didn't even get into the heavy stuff in terms of what some of you guys endured, because it isn't necessary. What is necessary for them to know is that they too can be Rob, Etienne, Mr. Ibrahim, Themba. I mean, look at this array in terms of your professions. So from my heart, I thank you. Thank you for this time. Thank you for sharing. And I'll let you guys know when the next alumni board meeting is. Please be there and answer my calls, please. Thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Don't let me have to call you 2 times, okay? Don't let me have to call you twice, okay?
Miss Echoes, Mr. Brown, I want that food. So you tell me.
Mr. Brown,
right.
I just told Mr. Brown he
Mr.
has
Brown.
promised, because you guys did such a great job. Here he is.
Oh, well.
So
What's up,
he's
Mr.
promised-
Brown? What's up, Mr. Brown?
With the clean cut shave.
Hey, Mr. Brown, whatever you cooking, bro, whatever you cooking, I'm there, homie.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Beautiful.
Bye.
Mwah. Love to your parents. Love
Thank
to
you.
your parents. All right.
All right,
Bye-bye.
guys. And so
Bye.
we'll see everybody next week, 12 p.m., the same place, the same time. And this video will be posted on our page as well. So have a great afternoon. God bless.